Well, hello everyone, and we're so glad to see you today. My goodness, I'm glad you want to spend some Sunday afternoon with us. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I'm here at the Six Screens Control Panel up here in Massachusetts. And boy, it's so nice up here today. A beautiful day in the low 80s, low humidity. People are in a good mood. I hope you're in a good mood. I hope it's nice where you are too. Well, anyways, we got a program on here now. It's called Ex Jehovah's Witnesses Share Their Story of Being in the Watchtower. And it's hosted by a woman. She's a former Jehovah's Witness. Her name is Anne Marie, and she's out of California. Hello, Anne Marie.
Hello, my brother Rick. Happy Six Screen Sunday.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Happy Six Green Sunday to you, too. So things are moving in the right direction. We had some really good programs last night. It really was wonderful that when we went to about 11 o'clock, and many people were calling in from all over the world, and it really was a great night. We had a lot of fun. Now, today, of course, what we do here on Sundays is we try to get someone to come in, which we do have Steve out of New Zealand. In fact, I'll tell you, Anne Marie, he's the biggest apostate in New Zealand, if you can believe that.
I believe it.
Oh yeah, he's quite the guy. He's our friend. We always love Steve. He's got a nice big smile. Now, what we're going to do here, in fact, he has a sign. I'm going to bring on here very shortly. But he has a sign here that he goes to the Kingdom Hall with. He gets in trouble over there. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't like Steve, but he has a sign here that JW organization is under investigation for hiding pedophiles in all the Western countries. Steve, move the sign up so I can read the bottom. Move it up a little bit. So there it goes. So it says here that the New Zealand government needs to stop them. Oh, Steve, that's a wonderful sign. Good job, buddy. I'm serious. Excellent. So, Anne Marie, I guess we could just bring Steve on here and let him speak. There might be a little difficulty here getting him on video. We'll get a little idea here. I'll try my best to do that. But so, Anne Marie, why don't you say hello to Steve as I kind of rearrange things here to get him on video?
Okay, I just want to make sure that this time the audience can actually hear Steve. So many people said they couldn't hear a thing. So hoping that will be working out. Hi, Steve. How are you doing today?
I am the most dangerous apostate in New Zealand.
I can't understand a word. I can't understand a word.
The most dangerous apostate in New Zealand, in the Jehovah's Witnesses for it.
Yeah, in fact, if you can't hear it, Anne Marie, let me just take a few minutes and spend with Steve here. And hopefully the people here on YouTube and people on Facebook can hear as well. I got them up as high as I can go. I'm coming in via Facebook, so it's not quite like a phone line. I tried to get them on our StreamYard. But let me just talk with them here for a few minutes, Anne Marie, then we'll get on with our programs. So just hang in with us. Well, Steve, we're glad that, we're really glad that, 10,000 miles away, that's where you are. You are in New Zealand. And that's as far as you possibly can be from where I am here in Boston, Massachusetts. So thank you for coming 10,000 miles away. It's amazing. What time is it in New Zealand right now? 13 minutes past 6. Is it Sunday or Monday? It's Monday. You guys are a day ahead of us. My goodness gracious. Well, anyways, so tell me what happens when you go to the Kingdom Hall with that sign I just read to everybody.
Beards and the Jehovah's Witness men shut the curtains whenever they see me. Also have sign?
Well, no doubt. I mean, having a sign like that is good. You had that professionally made. I'm in the sign business, so it does look good. So Steve, tell me what's your plans for the future? You plan on going to one of the conventions this summer? Like, I don't think they're having them yet.
I'm planning to go live on Zoom.
Okay, well, we got you're talking about our convention, the ex-Jehovah's Witness convention, and we're going to try to get you. Well, you'll be listening in. We'll be on. It will be on Facebook, so you'll be able to see it. I was hoping that we could get that computer of yours working, so I could bring you on. I'd like to introduce you to my friends at the convention. So maybe we can get that computer working. I want them to meet the biggest apostate in New Zealand.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, what would you like to say to the audience right now? And because of the communication problems here, we'll cut it short. So what would you like to say to the audience?
Would like to say in the year 1991, my caregiver, Irene, was 42 years of age at the time, and Irene got me. North and stayed with Irene's mother, Irene, and her.
Yeah, let me just, because of the communication issues here on the phone line and what have you, let me just tell you what Steve's saying. Someone got his mother involved, Stephen's mother. Stephen got involved, his mother got involved, and then when he was a younger person.
It wasn't my mother involved. Irene had got me involved in the JW. It wasn't my mother. It was the caregiver.
Right. Right.
And Irene, not mine. Irene's mother was 76. She didn't look 76. She only looked 10 years young.
Well, she got you involved with this. She got you involved with the witnesses, and of course you kind of got caught in a trap, Steve. Well, Steve, what we're going to do here, what
Very, very correct. Then Irene's whole family were JW.
Irene's family is saying with JW. Hey, Steve, what we're going to do, we're going to get you on another time, but we're going to have to get a better communication. I'm going to have to try to work with you with the StreamYard because coming through Facebook doesn't work well. So maybe in a couple of weeks or so, we can get that straightened out. Practice on your computer. You say get a new computer. Practice on how to get your webcam and that set up. Because I want to bring you on, but it's very difficult. People really can't hear you the way they want to hear you. So I'm going to cut it short here, but I'll be in touch with you, okay? We just can't hear you that good, and it doesn't do good for you or me or anybody. So we got to work on getting better communication. So I'll be in touch with you, Steve. And there you go. He's got the sign. Thank you, Steve, for coming on with us. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, Anne-Marie, here we go.
Oh, poor Stephen. He's really been working hard to do his part, but we can't pretend that we can hear him or understand. I can't understand a word he says.
Right. Well, what it is, Anne-Marie, he has autism, and he.
I understand that.
And it's very, very difficult.
I'm good at figuring out accents if I listen hard enough. But it's for some reason, it's just kind of garbled and jumbled like he's talking in a tin can. And he's so sweet because I could hear him better last time when it was just a phone. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, he wanted to come. What he wanted was people to see him. He said, Rick, can you get people to see me?
Yeah.
So, I tried to work with him. I was working with him during the other program and spent a good 20 minutes with him trying to get him on the StreamYard platform that we go on. It's so easy and people could hear him. But you can only do so much if you got to have the right tools to do.
Maybe if we try again, we can just stream a photo. I know he wants to be seen, but it seems to be connected with not being able to understand anything. I totally could not. And it's not my ears. And
Oh no! I got you. I got you. I'm not. That's why I just I'm trying to be nice to Steve. He's a good guy. I'm just trying to, we got people, we got witnesses too, that ex-witnesses that, they've had issues with their health and what have you. So he really is so proud of being the biggest apostate in New Zealand. So we got to really make him feel good about that. But anyways. So Anne-Marie, what we'll do is let's see if we can't, if anyone out there listening to the program today would like to come on and give their story of being in the Watchtower. Well, why don't you do that? In fact, I'm going to put the telephone number up on YouTube and Facebook so you'll be able to see it. And we're getting a lot of new ones. Last night, Anne-Marie had some new people coming into your program. And geez, maybe we get some of these people to, I got to remember on Saturday night, maybe even at the end of your program, we could kind of, I should do it. And you can help me too. We can ask the people, anyone wants to come in tomorrow? We got a program on sharing because I think we could get one or two of those people from last night. So if you're listening in today, and you want to come on and tell your story, I'm going to put the number up, and Anne-Marie and I will be glad to hear what you have to say. So let me do that right now. And in the meantime, Anne-Marie, go ahead and talk to the audience.
Well, if anybody is thinking maybe I'll share a little something, please understand it doesn't have to fall under your judgment of, oh, that's not interesting, or oh, that wasn't so bad, or, it's not long enough, or, people might think that's kind of silly. Everybody's experience was absolutely unique, and we kind of felt alone in our experience. I remember one time when they were always, the Watchtower, I swear to God, they were always picking about something. Now, they had an article about wind chimes. They had an article about how to have sex and not to have sex with your mate. Then they came out with an article about being addicted to coffee. Are you seriously kidding me? I couldn't believe a bunch of sisters in the kitchen before we were going to go out in the service. Have you seen this new article in the Awake magazine? Oh my goodness, I need my coffee. I have to get the kids up early in the morning and make their lunches, and then I have to go out and service, then I have to do the shopping and the laundry and cooking and clean the house, and then I have to be here when the kids come home, and I have to get them in their play clothes and make sure they do their homework, and then we have to get ready for the meeting. How in the world can I survive without coffee? And I remember standing there. I didn't say a word. I just remember standing there going, you know what? They may take this and say I can't do that, but I'll be goddamn if they're going to take away my coffee. That's just an experience. It might take 2 minutes. It might, lead to other things. This is an hour for you, for anyone that Rick has set aside, for anyone to just come on and say, I was happy. I thought I had found the only true religion. I thought Jehovah loved me. I really felt that he did. And all of the brothers and sisters were so nice to me. But as time wore on, I started to realize that I felt like I was dragging leaded feet, like it was such an effort to get up in the morning. I felt like so heavy, and I didn't feel like maybe I was that accepted or people were as sincere as I thought they were. Like after a while, I started to feel lonely and kind of depressed. And then I started to feel guilty, shameful at my thoughts. And I started to miss my life before I came into the truth. And I'm just calling it the truth because a lot of people still call it the truth. It doesn't matter. This hour is set aside for you to even share a minute, one little experience, or something longer. Rick wants to give you the time to say whatever you want to share without feeling that you're rushed. And believe it or not, when people hear whatever you have to share, everyone, to one extent or another, will totally be able to relate to whatever you say. That was me too. Wow, that's how I felt. I never told anybody that. But he's saying just what I was thinking. She's saying just what I went through. Yeah, that happened to me too. So a lot of people feel hesitant, but all it is just hitting *6 and saying, well, I'd like to share a little something, and don't worry about how people might categorize it. It's big, or it's not that important, or it's not that big a deal. Or you know what? If it affected you, it was a big deal. My beautiful, totally programmed, indoctrinated JW mother said so many wise things to me. And one thing she said to me that really touched me, because I said, well, I shouldn't be complaining, or, it's not that big a deal. I shouldn't feel that way. And she looked at me and she said, Anne Marie, Jehovah loves you. And if it's important to you, it's important to Jehovah. If it hurts you, it hurts Jehovah. Remember, there was a scripture of so many sparrows, and God even knows when a sparrow falls dead from a tree. I'll never forget this one brother in his talk on a Sunday talking about Jehovah's love for us. He said, you remember the scripture, and he read the scripture. He said, Jehovah doesn't just know that the sparrow fell. He wants to know why. And that really touched me, because Jesus said, remember, you are more precious, more valuable than many sparrows. So no matter how we might think others might feel about any experience we may choose to share, if it hurt you, if it made you sad, if you weighed down, if you felt depressed, go ahead. Hit *6, say whatever's on your mind.
Well, we're trying to hit him in, Anne Marie. And when you're talking here, you got me at least thinking of something. When I got out of the Watchtower and was disfellowshipped, I couldn't wait to tell my story. I couldn't. I was excited to talk. I would tell everybody. I would tell my friends. I would tell people I didn't even know. I'd meet them in a restaurant and get a conversation started with them. And then I would tell them how I was in this cult and what they did. And I would tell everybody about that. And it really is helpful to do that, to be able to get that message out and let people know, hey, I was involved with these people and I don't want you to be involved. So here's a good chance for anybody out there right now that's listening into this program. Come on and say, hey, I got a story to tell. And you will get that off your chest. But not only that, even if it doesn't totally make you feel like you're 10 feet tall, you're going to be able to reach somebody out there that's listening in. And we've had people come on here and share their stories that had a big impact. I get letters here to 6 screens, and people write me, wow, Rick, that person that came on that Sunday program at Anne Marie, I can't believe that happened. And that's similar to what happened to me. And it made me feel better. So when you tell your story, you do not know who you're connecting with. And even today live, that's one thing. But this program gets put up on YouTube and Facebook. And people can get in there and listen to it in the archives. And at some point, maybe 5 years from now, someone could hear that program and it could touch them and it could move them. Your story could be powerful. So don't be afraid. If you're on here, we'd love to hear from you. Hit *6 and come on and say hello to us.
Hello, this is Grace from Sweden. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Grace.
Okay.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Anne Marie. I was just thinking that this Jehovah's Witness religion is really a working religion, that you have to be healthy so you can go out in service and sell the Watchtower, so to speak, to other people. It's not a religion about love. It's a religion about selling the Watchtower and get new members. And I was just thinking about what you said yesterday about that it's a lot of pressure on the men, because when I got to know the Watchtower, it was 17 December 1997, and it was through a friend of mine, and it was a very dear friend of mine, and he was just, I would say, he was like a healthy person. He had so many lady friends. He took pictures of them. He was very interested in taking pictures. And his father was a car mechanic, so he always drove a nice car, and he was out and about, going out in the sun to the beach, and he was such a happy and strong person, and he had a nice work, and everything was just going all right for him. And then he met this Jehovah's Witness, and it wasn't a long time before he threw away his photo interest. He throws away all these pictures of nice ladies he knows. All these nice pictures, even the pictures he took of me also, he threw them away. So no more picture interest for him. And it wasn't too many years before he started, this healthy person started to go on psychiatric medication. And he saw a psychologist, or how you say. She was, her profession was psychology. But she didn't know about Jehovah's Witness. So she actually told him, oh, you can keep going to the meeting. It's not a problem. But I mean, I think the pressure for him, because he told me, I have to go and knock on so many doors because I'm like a fireman. And I have to knock on doors so people won't burn in the house. So I'm like a fireman. I have to spread the Jehovah's Witness religion to everybody. So he was feeling so much pressure to save people. And I am 100% sure he got sick from this sheer pressure, working and always knocking on doors and just feeling like he had to save everybody. And I just think this is a terrible religion. And I mean, if I call him now, he is so angry. He is so angry. And he used to be a sweet, loving person. And he was just the sweetest thing you could think of. And now he's so angry. He doesn't really want to talk to me anymore. So I call him maybe once a year, and it's just horrible. And he even told me, I will never be the same again. I'm a broken man. I will never be the same again. That's what he told me. Well, I guess that's all from me now. Thank you.
Oh, Grace, thank you so much for sharing that. That is heartbreaking, because it does seem to me that the most sincere, the most sensitive, the most caring, the most loving people that get involved with this good news, which is a real trap, is they go gung-ho. And it tears them up from the inside out, tears them up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and eventually, like you just brought out, it affects them physically. I did not know when I was forcing myself to go back to the Jehovah's Witness religion, because those sisters told me in January of 1975 that if I didn't, Jehovah God was going to kill my 3 little boys and my baby that I was pregnant with. And I remembered when I looked back, I wasn't sick. I did have health problems, but I was up every day, went to the beach every day, kept my house clean, took care of my children. But when I look back over the years of struggling to be a good Jehovah's Witness, I was always sick. Always sick. I used to joke, I'm either sick, getting sick or getting over being sick. Horribly tired, infection after infection, horrible depression, and I denied it all. I didn't even know I was depressed. Oh, it's Satan, it's Satan, it's Satan. Everything got blamed on Satan. So when you, Grace, thank you so much for sharing about this poor gentleman. He loved being friends. He loved his women friends. He loved photography. He sounds like a very, very happy, positive person who was just in love with life and just a very happy, positive person. But if you get serious about this religion, this cult, and it's sad that it is a cult, I'm still shocked that I was in the only true religion. It turned out to be a cult. It will destroy you from the inside out. It will warp you. It will destroy you. And the sad thing is people don't see the changes in themselves, people outside themselves, like maybe family or friends that knew them before they came into the organization might say, you're different. I used to hear that. What happened to the happy Anne-Marie I knew? Well, we're living in bad times and this is serious and, we got to help all the people to learn the truth about Jehovah and come to know Jehovah before Armageddon comes and it's too late. And, this is serious. We can't just pretend and live in a la-la fantasy world. And people would just look at me and shake their heads like, what happened to Anne-Marie that we knew? So I really, really thank you, my Grace, for sharing that very sad experience, because that's being touched by the tentacles. Some of us were strangled. Some of us almost drowned in the poison of this cult. And again, I would love to extend an invitation on Rick's behalf and mine, this show for an hour every other Sunday on Six Green Sunday, sharing your story, how it was for you in the Watchtower. How did you feel? How was your life? For me, my whole world, every facet, every minute of my life revolved around Watchtower. What's today? Monday. We had a beautiful study after I would look at my notes from the public talk the Sunday before. I would try to remember and go over the Watchtower study from the Sunday before. Okay, it's Monday. I better catch up on my laundry, the shopping, the cooking. I need to study for Tuesday's book study. They used to still have the Tuesday book study. And then we'd have to get ready for that. And I think Wednesday was my family study with my children, and everything was around the meetings, study, conventions, district conventions, going out in service. I don't remember ever feeling truly relaxed except on those Saturdays. I did not make Saturday witness door knocking day. For me, my children were the most important, and I would set aside almost every Saturday, not for cooking, not for shopping, not for cleaning or doing laundry. I would make sure everything was done before we went to bed on Friday night, even if we were up till 4:30 in the morning, because I wanted to get up early and just have a clean house. And I would take my children in turn, sometimes this one, sometimes that one, to the corner store, and we'd stock up on what I called Saturday treats. And we'd come home, and all of us kids, all of the kids and I, we would block out the windows and we would just sit and eat our little treats and watch movie movies all Saturday. And that to me was the most special time of the entire time that I got to have my children at home. It was just us. No meeting, no study, no convention, no going out in service. It was just me and my precious children. And I am so grateful that I took that time. I don't know if anybody else did that. Nobody else ever told me that they did that. But that's just my experience. My children, of course, are all grown now. All my grandchildren are all grown now. And my oldest great-grandson is ready to head off to college. And so, we have to remember it's not just now. Watchtower loves to keep you in the, oh my God, Armageddon's just around the corner. You don't have time for this. You don't have time for that. But they keep you on high alert, in such a high state of expectation, in such a high state of anxiety, in such a high state of fear that you miss your life. Your life just passes you by, and all of a sudden you realize 10 years has gone by. Where did they go? 20 years went by. What happened? 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. This is not what Jesus died to give us. This constant high anxiety, high fear, high expectation, and just panic that somehow you're going to miss the great tribulation. You're going to die. Oh, you weren't faithful. You're going to die. You weren't faithful. Your children are going to die. Oh, you weren't faithful. Your neighbors that you love are going to die. So anyone, any comment, any thought that comes to your head, that is what this show is for. Rick sets aside an hour every other Sunday on Six Screen Sunday to share anything about your Watchtower story. Would anyone like to share regarding to what Rick said, what Grace from... Yes, go ahead.
Rick, I just thought I'd come in since it's a quiet moment.
Wait. You sound horrible. Are you on speaker? Are you on speaker, my dear?
No, maybe the volume's too high. Is that better?
Well, whatever you just did is great. Stay just exactly like that. Go ahead, my brother.
It was too high. It was too high, the volume on my microphone. Okay, yes. The subject of always, there's so many angles to come at this, but every time I hear people's stories, it's parallels. It's just parallels all the time, Anne-Marie, you know? For example, we hear so many times, don't we, how this looming kind of background, in the background of your thoughts, the imminent danger of Armageddon, and we need to be prepared, and we have to live like we're living in tents. We have to be like, you know, we don't put roots down in the system. All that kind of language we had to kind of, we regularly were fed with that kind of mindset. So it becomes part of your life. It becomes part of the way you think. So I sometimes hear people on, you know, Six Screens and other places where they say they missed out on the opportunity for education. And that's a very, very big thing. For example, if they wanted to go to university.
Turn it down a little bit. It's getting real dark.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Listen. I want to hear every word you have to say, my brother. Whatever it is, maybe if you turn it down a little bit, starting to sound very gargly. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with.
Okay, don't move.
Better?
Go ahead. Don't move.
I know what's going on. It's the Six Screen volume thing. It's also adjusting my voice. And
no worries. I just want to hear you. It's perfect.
It keeps trying to adjust my voice on the app, so no problem. Is that better?
You're fine. Just talk, please. I want to hear everything.
Okay. No problem. So, Anne-Marie, yes. So, we get, many times we get different angles. We come at the education thing, for example. Now, I personally didn't allow people to sort of interfere with my ambition. You know, I wanted to study what I wanted to study and so on. But where it hit me, this is personally now, is I didn't reach my potential. Now, this, you know, so many people can say that. So many brothers and sisters listening in can say, yes, I have the degree, say, even if you've got the degree. I mean, I did study to that level, but what am I going to do with it? When opportunities come my way, I turned them down. I made excuses. You know, I said, well, I'm being selfish. I should be pioneering, or if I wasn't pioneering, why am I going to look to buy a house for? Why am I even saving for a deposit for a house or a mortgage? Because this system's going to pass. So I will use my energy and my effort. I've got time for that in the future. And I've said this before many times as well in the chat. when people say, I would like to learn a musical instrument. I'd like to learn the piano in the new system. Things like that. You know, it's like, why? They would spend more time, when they look at their life, they would spend more time on other things that were just as kind of on the same level as just, you know, watching TV, going out shopping, spending time with friends. But to spend half an hour a day learning an instrument to enrich your life, to add something to your life, they would be made to feel guilty, like they're being selfish. And that's something, the layers are so subtle that people just got used to it and think, oh, well, I had a phrase for it, Anne-Marie. It was logical fallacies. It's almost like it makes sense internally within itself. It can sound like it's a reasonable thing, but actually it's not. You know, we're not allowed. We make an excuse for ourselves. We legitimize. We prioritize the wrong thing, and then we then try to explain it away by saying it's a spiritual goal that we're doing it for. Well, our aspirations are spiritual, so therefore we don't.
So true.
You know, and so many people have lost opportunity. Is why I was thinking about what you're saying about frustration from not unfulfilled expectations of our own life. It could have been, like you said, you're so tired because you've got all these obligations with your family, you've got children, and so forth, and then you don't actually have any extra time for yourself. And the very little bit of time you have left, you're guilted into thinking, well, that should be on something else. Maybe you should do an extra 2 or 3 hours on the ministry that weekend, and so on. So, you know, I hear so many. What came to my mind when you were talking was the fact that, yes, sometimes it may feel like to some people I've missed out on. Maybe I'll try this. I'm coming at this from more of an encouragement, because sometimes I hear many people say, I missed out on college. I missed out on education. And yes, it's a real thing. I'm not dismissing that and devaluing anyone's experience, because that's a valid thing. But let me tell you something. Even if you have a stack load of paper and qualifications, if your mindset is like you've gone to the doctor and the doctor's told you you've got 1 week to live, you know, and that's it. Because we had that 1 week to live mentality, it didn't matter how many opportunities were thrown at us or we were presented with opportunities. Most of the time we would not take it, or if we took opportunities, it was on a very, very minimal level. And that's something that is maybe not talked as much. It's almost like it's education, success, and, you know, degree, education, college, success. We didn't get to college. Oh, you know, and that's the reason why it's much more, for me, nuanced is what I'm trying to say, with layers and layers of messing with our heads. And even if you get an opportunity, we just don't take it as often. And that was my experience. So I had loads of opportunities. I just didn't take them as much as I should have. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Anne-Marie. I don't know what your thoughts on this as well.
No, I'm hanging on every word you said. What's your name, my love?
Maverick. It's Maverick.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I thought you were, but I make a lot of mistakes. Maverick.
No.
This is why I wanted you to be heard so clearly, because everything that you said, I'm just like, I'm shaking my head. Especially when you said 1 week mentality. I tried to explain to people I literally had no sense of future, even from a child. And like you said, all those opportunities, to me, they weren't opportunities because they were fantasy. Be able to graduate. I didn't even think I would live to go to high school, which I never did go to high school. You know, I never even graduated middle school. I didn't know that I was going to live. My whole thought was, I'm going to die next week. What's the point? I didn't know I could go to college. I didn't know that I could have had a career teaching. I didn't know that I could have tried acting or whatever. You brought up the piano. I've always wanted to, you know, play the piano. There's so many things, but they drummed it into you, however subliminally. that you don't have time for that. It's like you said, you go to the doctor and he says you have 1 week to live. It doesn't matter if somebody says, hey, I'll give you $5 million. All you have to do is work for me a week. It doesn't compute. It's like that has nothing to do with your time frame. That was so beautifully said. And if you don't mind, and if no one else is waiting, if anyone else is waiting to speak, it's *6, feel free. But in the meantime, if nobody wants to speak right this minute, Maverick, I would love it if you keep going. I want to hear more of it.
If someone comes in, that's fine. I'm happy to let them have the floor, as they say. Yeah, so yes, Anne-Marie, what you just said as well on top of it, like, it's like we missed out on so much. And sometimes people think, well, that doesn't make any sense, because I'm self-employed. I never wanted to work for anyone. Since I was 18, 19, I'll tell you a little bit about my story, since it's kind of like the story, people telling their pathway. So my mum, we had a neighbor. We were in school. We were all at school age. I was 14, 15 at the time. My mum's good friend, our neighbor, was a witness. She introduced, started to get her claws in, as they say, and basically introduced the organisation of the Watchtower and everything to my mum. My mum, I was still at school. I was actually friends with her children, and me and my brothers are still young. So that's how we were introduced. So I'm at that age now where you're sort of 14, 15, 16. You're now in your middle school. You're looking at to see what you're going to do at college. Now, my background, I learned my trades. I actually was making furniture. That was actually my first trade that I learned. Woodwork. I was very, very natural wood craftsman. Like I always wanted to work with my hands. I was always good with my hands, and so it just came naturally to me. And maybe when you're in your teens and you just think something comes naturally to you, you don't have to work so hard, so you think that's your pathway. I mean, people change their careers in any direction they want. So I was into the trades. I then was sabotaged because I became a witness. I was introduced to study, and this is quite an interesting sideline here. My mum said, "Oh, there's a brother here who just wants to give you an opportunity to just have a little a sample of a study, and if you like it, you can carry on." Now, my personality was, I'm quite timid, not timid, but I was a kind of, yeah, okay then, yeah, whatever. I was laid back. That's not the word. Timid is not the word. Laid back was the word. So I went along with it. I thought, this is interesting. And I did have questions. I was always searching, and I was a bit of a dreamer. So I was more like, I wonder what life's all about. And I didn't come from a biblical mindset. So I was kind of just, everything was new to me. So when the witnesses come along, oh my goodness me, the Live Forever book, the red one, it's self-contained. They catch you on the first or second chapter. Everything's so logical and plausible. God has a name? Wow. That to me was a hit there. And then I just thought, well, this is great. Within 6 months, I was baptized, Anne-Marie. 16 and a half.
Oh, wow. They're so smooth and so convincing.
Yeah.
So sensible, so reasonable.
And then 6 months in that, I was regular pioneering. I had 6 months of auxiliary pioneering straight in, and then regular pioneer for a good 2 to 3 years it was. But at that point, I was at the choosing my college. Like, what am I doing now? Where am I going? That kind of got sidelined. And all the advice, I don't know if it was like this in the States, but in the UK, my particular congregation was pioneer, 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 pioneer. We had about 24 regular pioneers in my congregation at that time. And it was like, you're a young person, you want to be seen as like, well done, and self-esteem and all that.
Right.
You kind of just go with the flow and think, I want to pioneer too. And it seems like they get a lot like accolades and that. I was looking for that kind of, you're a young person and you're looking to be seen as, oh, I'm doing the right thing. So I started regular pioneering, and I was on the platform at the assembly that year, explaining why you don't have to go to college, and you can get a part-time job, and Jehovah will look after you. Look at me, I'm pioneering, I'm doing okay. at 16, like 17, sorry, 17 and a half. I'm thinking, that is the most silly advice. So this current video that we had a few weeks ago with the assembly, with the convention, talking about that so-called worldly couple, that couple who are not spiritual, who was advising that young man. That was me. I resonated with that so much. That was me. And I wish I had those two telling me the thing that so-called not spiritual, what's it called, couple were encouraging that brother to think about his future and to put roots down. Now, having said all that, I still carried on. I went back to college and I got my trade again, and I became a contractor and so on. But it heavily interfered with my my plans, because I didn't have any long-term or medium-term. I heard one of my customers, right, he was talking to his teenage son, and he said, right, this next 10 years, this is your pathway. And then the next 10 years, you should be looking at this and this and this. And I thought, wow. I mean, how is that possible that you can sit there with your teenage son and think, right, this is you're 15 now, son. Here's the next 10 years, that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
When you finish that, these are your options. Now, that's unheard of for a witness. So it's all about context to your personal family life, your examples that you have in your own life. And some people, now I notice some families, they just completely ignore the official kind of encouragement to set your own ambitions aside and go and, do something like go to Bethel or do something else. But in my congregation, my set of cards, as they say, were not like that. It was very, very, I mean, this is early 90s, I'm talking 1991, yeah. And the first Gulf War was kicking off with Bush Senior and, Saddam Hussein and all that. And I was thinking, well, I'm in the best place now. I'm baptized, I'm pioneering, and I don't have to worry about anything. It's kicking off now. This is going to lead into Armageddon. So that's the mindset, we have. I don't know how everybody else felt at that time in the early 90s with the Iraq War, the first one. But, and then again, another generation goes past, and then you got 9/11, and then everybody has the same heightened tension again. And then you've got that mindset of it's happening now, it's happening. Recently, and everybody was called. What happened recently that everybody was running back to the kingdom once, and I've forgotten there was something significant.
Who knows? They always come up with something.
So yes, so like the main gist of it is like I was just saying previously, is that sometimes it may be perceived that, okay, just not having the opportunity to study, and yes, if you didn't get a chance to go to college or you didn't get to do the education you wanted to, of course you're going to feel like that would have given the opportunity, and yes, it would have given you opportunity, but as long as you weren't a witness, it would have given you maybe possibly the opportunity. And I mean, if I had a young family, if I had children that were depending on me, and I was already married in my early 20s, maybe my mindset would have been different. But I wasn't married; I was single, so so I didn't feel like there was any big rush. And then when you're constantly fed the narrative of, you need to just be, just relax and don't worry about the future. I actually remember, I feel really bad about this actually, because one of my best friends, he was talking about pensions. I said, no, don't worry about pensions. You don't need a pension. Trust me, you don't need a pension. And he kind of believed me, and I still feel bad about that. Because he was contemplating about putting some extra money away for a much more, a better pension or a 401k, as you say in the States. So I was really, really like a classic witness, but not a brain. I like to think that I was more open-minded than most, because I feel that there's two types of Jehovah's Witnesses that we notice. There's the die-hard idolatry temperament witnesses, that everything the governing bodies say is written in stone. If it's not in the Watchtower, I don't believe it. You've got those types. And then you've got the ones who are probably like most of us we were, where we're just trying to get on with it, and we had our own brains to a certain extent. We were heavily influenced by the organization, but we still said, "Now that's a lot of baloney. I'm not believing that." And I did that sometimes on a meeting. I would like hear a statement being made, and I was like, "Nah. That's just going too far now. If you want to believe that, you believe that, but I'm not believing that." And I'd get looks. I'd get really strange looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been kind of through a lot of the phases of the indoctrination. You kind of get all happy. It's like they give you some happy juice to swallow, and you think, "Oh, wow, this is great." You know, it's almost like, to me, it's almost like getting hooked on heroin. That first high of heroin, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. And you give up your whole life for that next hit of heroin. But they call it chasing the dragon when you keep looking for that first high and it never quite comes to you. But you keep trying harder and harder and harder. And for me, that's kind of how it was in Watchtower. I wanted so much to feel the joy and that this is right. And I finally come home and Jehovah's finally pleased with me, and I don't have to worry about dying at Armageddon, and my children are safe because I'm serving Jehovah to the best of my ability. But it was like, I just couldn't quite get to where I felt like I could relax. And you just described every phase of being in the Watchtower. Wow, very well said, Maverick. Do you have anything to add? Because you have me glued to the phone, honey.
Oh, well, it's just, well, thank you for, I always really appreciate, Ray, your observations, because there was something I was going to mention something, and then it just slipped my mind. It'll come back to me. But, yeah, the way everything works in the organization is fear-based. Because that's it. Scott's, the previous show to this one, Scott was talking about fear. And I always believe that fear is like gangrene to a person's character. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And I think Ray Franz said it in his book. You've got two types of families, and he was trying to talk about the Christian congregation. It was in his book, In Search of Christian Freedom, the second book, after he did Crisis of Conscience. And I'll try and paraphrase it if I can remember it properly. But Ray Franz was saying that you've got two families. They look identical. You've got a father and a mother and children, and they're all well dressed, and they're all turned out, and they all walk out the front door, and they go to their meetings, and so on. And one of the family, the man is a tyrant, and the family, the wife and the children are absolutely petrified of putting their foot wrong because their father's going to go nuts on them, and it's going to go down, tear them apart. And then you've got another family who's looks identical on the outside. And
yeah.
He said, and it's just love. They want to not let their father down because they love him. And I thought I was in the organization, the former, which was, you can't do this because you're going to get judged by people, first of all, and then Jehovah's constantly looking at you. And then, that's not the spirit of since this is Sunday, we can talk more about the biblical side of things, but I never felt that was the way I saw Christianity, because when I was reading these pages of the Bible, I'm like, that's not how Jesus is operating. That's nothing to do with the spirit of what it means to be a Christian. It didn't make sense to me, and just like, and when people are too far away, even if doctrinally people believe that there is a real punishment after we leave this life. Say, for example, you believe in that, and you're convinced by that doctrine of like hell as a real thing, or you're going to have to face your maker, as it were. It's used as a weapon. It shouldn't. How can you recommend a loving God by forcing fearful attributes at them, like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to get taken out, mate. So it's like there's always this extreme, and then you've got the other side, which is kind of complete lovey-dovey, and there's no consequence to anything, which is also kind of like the other side of the pendulum. But Ray Franz kind of had the right balance in the way he was speaking. obviously, why I'm saying this is because when we look back at our own experiences in the organization, even though they were all so varied, and I say to people, you get anything from just walking away with hardly a scratch on you, to literally wanting to commit suicide, and everything in between. So maybe I didn't have that personal experience, but somebody else did, and many, many thousands of people sadly have. So why am I saying all this? Is because the fear that was kind of constantly drummed into us, like, you know, and I had this kind of motto to myself, Anne-Marie. I was like, well, if they go against my own principle, and if I see something in scripture that it doesn't align up with what they're saying, who do I choose? Which?
Right.
And it's a simple question for anyone. If anybody who is still an active witness in the future, they listen to this, or ask yourself that question. You know, if it came to the point where you read clearly in scripture that, and then the society or anybody, it doesn't have to be the Jehovah's Witnesses, it could be anyone, telling you something that you can clearly see is not in scripture, if you call yourself, you know, who are you following, basically, what I'm trying to say. And most of the witnesses would maybe struggle, some of them would struggle to answer that question, or they would directly answer it by saying, no, we follow exactly what the governing body says, and that's it.
Right.
I don't care if they tell me, you know, the moon is square shaped. Now it is square, and that's what we're dealing with. You can't really get anywhere with someone like that, you know. But for me, it was not like that. I just said, if they say something nonsense, I'm not obligated to follow them, because if I can read it in the scripture, then that's enough for me, you know.
I wish I could have been like that.
It's very difficult. I wasn't like that with everything. You know, I still allowed them to basically conform. I conformed. I yielded to their leadership. But the thing that broke that spell for me, as they say, was the fact that I started to, you know, the whole 607 thing again is one of the major. It is the foundational thing, and for me, because like I would talk to people in the congregation in the very latter months of, actually for maybe the 6 months before I actually stepped away properly, and they would say, why are you making this an issue? Why is this an issue? Why is the chronology about 1914, are we gone past that now? And I just couldn't believe why they would just say, it's not important. Because if it was just about, say, when we're predicting the end is going to come, that's bad enough, because that happened in 75 and so on. That's bad enough if you're trying to use those calculations to prove that the end is coming, down to the last sort of month thing. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that they are more concerned about the foundation of their authority, Anne-Marie. The foundation of their authority is based on, apparently, visibly selecting them. So, and they can't see it. The modern witnesses, I don't understand how they can't see it. They can't connect that simple. Join that fundamental two dots from A to B. You know, the significance of it, it's very, very thick. So once I understood that was on bad foundation and totally erroneous, I was free. I was finally free, because I knew there were problems there. Yeah, I knew there were problems there, but I needed to get to the bottom of, are these people really, like, you know, for Catholics it would be the same as questioning the Pope and the apostolic line. They would have to reconcile whether that is true or not for them to be able to look at the Pope as something important. But if that foundation is not there anymore, they're not going to see the Pope in the same way. And we have, what, now 11 popes to deal with, not just one. You know, so we've got that kind of same sort of thing. So for me, it was very simple. Well, it's very quiet today. I don't know. I've run out of material, Marie. I'm not sure what else to say now.
You know what? This is kind of this hour that Rick sets aside on Six Green Sunday. It's just for anyone who wants to come on and just talk about how it was for them in the Watchtower, to share their Watchtower story. And if anybody wants to talk, I hope everybody knows by now, all they have to do is hit *6. But I think that you not only have my undivided attention, I think you have a lot of people listening, because the way you're presenting your life, how you felt, how you saw it, how you performed in the Watchtower, the way things, you know, how you dealt with concerns or questions, I think is very, very a cause to reflect on others. It's not extreme. You know, a lot of times Rick says, if you have an extreme story or something really outlandish, well, there are a lot of extreme stories and outlandish stories, but it was that day to day, no horns blowing, no fanfare, of that drudgery of trying our best to keep putting one foot in front of the other, monitoring our thoughts. Oh, I shouldn't watch that movie, even though it looks real interesting. It might displease Jehovah. Go ahead, my brother. I think that you have a lot of people listening.
We have a caller coming in right now. Susan, I think Susan wants to say hello to Maverick. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, okay.
Anne-Marie, do you mind if I ask a question to Maverick?
Of course. This is your show, my love.
Well, no, it's actually yours, but I am just, Maverick has my attention. I am just glued to this call here. What I wanted to ask is, now you left Jehovah's Witnesses, and oftentimes only about 20%, sadly, return back to some kind of faith in God. What kept your faith in God after all that happened to you? Why are you the 20% that kept going?
Oh, that's a good question, Susan. And hi, always enjoy your listening to you as well. Why I was the 20%, you say? Well, to be honest with you, I feel like I think, you know, when people used to say to me, oh, you've left Jehovah, or somebody will use that phrase. I said, well, I never left Jehovah. I never left the God of the Bible that I recognize as being the real, true God. So for me, I felt like I decluttered my relationship with God. I think Rick kind of said some similar things in a different way when he always said he felt anointed. But now it makes sense to him, if that's correct, Rick. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. But,
Yeah, no, that's true. You get a different feeling, yes.
Yeah, so for me, I recognize that Christ. Interesting. Okay, I'll try and answer this, Susan. When I used to watch around Christmas time or on Easter, I would watch the stories of like Christ's life. And there's one with Robert Powell. There's one in the 70s and I think it was in the 80s where there's an English actor, Robert Powell. He played the part the Jesus, and it was so powerful and it moved me. And I used to think, how come I'm feeling more moved from a so-called secular depiction of Christ from the movies than the true religion's giving me their explanation? I just didn't make sense to me. So for me, I had my faith was always, once I started reading the Bible for myself, even in the early times of my time studying, I did understand that Christ's blood covers my sin. And I believed that. I actually believed that. And so for me, that was enough. I felt like I understood the basics of the real gospel, which is the fact that Christ died and rose again and paid for our sin. That part of it was crystal clear to me. The thing that was confusing me and was not the actual gospel of Christ dying for my sins. It was more all these extra things in there now. And you've got to have this third party of people like who say that they're speaking for God as a secondary mediator to me. That was all confusing. So once I realized that their so-called election, which was in so-called 1919, is not legitimate, everything, the veil lifted. So for me, I didn't feel like it was almost. I didn't have to fight for my faith. My faith was always there in Yahweh, which I say Yahweh more than Jehovah now. Yahweh, Christ, but all that clutter and all that fluff around it, as they say, was gone, or this started to be taken off me, and that's when I guess for me it was almost like when Jesus said that when you really come to me, your load will be light. You will feel the weight off you. And so I often say to people when they leave the organization, the reason why they feel maybe still burdened and they lose their faith is because they also are still seeing Christ with the lenses of religion and organizations and expectations of humans, putting their third-party stuff in there as well, But the best way is just stick to the simple gospel. Now, I don't have all the answers. I don't know every nook and cranny, as they say, of the scriptures, and you can get tied up with apologetics and having to answer everything. But I just feel free now that the thing that is salvation based is crystal clear. So I don't know if that answers the question, Susan. I'm not sure if I went a bit around the houses, as they say, but
no, you did. What Bible translation do you use, may I ask?
Right now, I found that the English Standard ESV Study Edition.
Mm-hmm.
I find that just very, very easy to read.
You're kidding. Because that's a hard one.
Oh,
I mean, the notes help you understand some.
Oh,
I
really?
was curious.
Oh, yeah. No, I find the King James not. It's okay, but I did find that a modern translation, which is the one I found is the English Standard Version. I don't know. Other people may find it differently, but yeah, that one's the one I tend to go to the most. Yes, and it's interesting because, like I said, I used to have this kind of promise to myself that I would never leave Jehovah, I would say then, but I say Yahweh now. And even before I was baptized, I made a promise to myself that no matter what happens, I would never leave Jehovah. So for me, that meant if the organization also turns apostate, then I know where I need to be. And they have turned. If they were ever in a good position with God, who knows? That's not for me to know. Maybe the intentions of Charles Taze Russell in the beginning was noble. I don't know. We will never know what his true intention was for this organization to be. But for me, I said, if I'm gone, if they deviate and they start to put their own things in there, and I can't, it doesn't sit right with me, I'm gone. And I won't feel bad about it, because are we following the messenger or the actual person giving the message? Like, they want us to give, they want us, Watchtower, and not exclusively just them, other people, other organizations too. They want you to treat them and the same reverence as the one that they're supposed to be representing. And that's just simply not in scripture. So for me, it was an easy, I never had any internal turmoil about leaving them. I just basically just said to myself, no, I'm not, I don't have to worry about them anymore. I say that it's like they put on a uniform, they put on a uniform and they're wielding a fake authority on people. And it's up to us if we choose to ignore what the scripture says and follow their personal, follow us. For me, it was a simple decision. Not without cost, though, as we know. Not without cost or without problems. I mean, I've not had I was going to say, Anne-Marie, it's not been plain sailing for me as well. Since, my family's gone through tremendous amounts of personal stuff. My father wasn't a well man, so growing up, he was very demanding. He suffered from, I would say, post-traumatic stress disorder, because he witnessed at age 9, he witnessed quite graphic criminal, a murder happen, and he witnessed it. and it really messed him up. So he was like there, he was around, but switched off. He shut down, and because he shut down and he developed emotional problems, you know, we had to manage him. And so when the Watchtower came along, at the time when I'm kind of like in my middle teens, it felt like, wow, I've finally got a community that can actually, you know, you can turn to for support, because we were very isolated. My mum was struggling, you know, trying to hold, you know, me and my brother, just two boys. I was the older brother. I'm the older brother of 5 years to my younger brother, and the stress of it. And other things happened in the organization, which I can't talk about now, which severely, I mean, there was predatory people that really severely tried to not tried to, but did infiltrate my family, and to be honest now, I don't want to go into details right now, because I don't want to incriminate anybody. Like, I can't speak freely about this, but it's not for me to say, but it's still affecting my family today, and it's affecting my relationship with my own brother, because he kind of blamed me for not protecting him, and he suffered from he was a victim of a predator in my congregation, and I didn't know about it. So it's like, you know, sometimes I'm quite light-hearted in my disposition when I'm speaking on the six screens, when I'm talking in the chat, but we, you know, I don't know where to start with the amount of heavy things that my family have gone through. Maybe it's made me tougher. Maybe I'm more tougher than I think I am, but I don't always feel that way. But I do tend to be quite philosophical, and I spend a lot of time. I have to extract myself and be on my own to be able to recharge. And that's something that what I always felt that was a problem in the Watchtower. You don't get a chance to recharge. And for some people, they need to be around people. Me, I was the opposite. I need to be on my own. Now, I have a lovely wife now of 5 years, and we get on like a house on fire. So we support each other. But before she was in my life, I was literally on my own. I was like, I just needed to be away from everyone, recharge, and then I'm good again, you know. And that was my. I've got more details, Anne-Marie. Another time, I will explore some of these things that have happened in more detail. But for now, I'm trying to give everybody a little.
Oh, you are so interesting. And everything you're sharing, you're giving glimpses of things that we can all relate to. When you said that you realize that no matter what happens, you'll always have Jehovah. In other words, in my mind, that translates to my realization that it was my relationship with Heavenly Father, and no man, no human, especially no arrogant, lying, narcissistic asshole could have anything to do with interrupting my relationship with Heavenly Father or his love and understanding and care for me. And I'm so glad you brought that out. But you also brought out the betrayal that you and your family experienced. Wow.
Yeah, big time. And funny enough, how I met my wife, I'll give you a little side story here. When you mentioned about not leaving Jehovah, the first thing I said to her, because she was scared to talk to me, her friend recommended. She was a female at the time, and I didn't know who she was. But a friend of a friend said, "Oh, this sister wants to talk to you. She knows that you've left, but she wants to talk to you." So I said, "Yeah. Tell her to talk to me." And she was hesitant for a while, apparently, what she tells me now. And she was hesitant because she thought, oh, it's one of these negative apostates. But the first words I said to her on the phone was, hello, my sister. I just want you to know that Jehovah is not the organization, and the organization is not Jehovah. They are two separate.
Good for you.
And she said that impacted her, and we started talking. And we spent about 3 weeks on the phone, 2 or 3 weeks without meeting, and the rest is history, as they say. We've been married 5 years. But
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But like I said, there is a thing about the fact that the hardest thing, I think, personally, one of the things that really holds witnesses back from making that decision to separate themselves is obviously the family ties, because they the showing thing. But it also is to do with they can't separate their own relationship and their faith with the expectations and the entanglements of a religious system, a tradition, a culture. They can't seem to get away from it. They just feel like it's part and parcel of the same thing. And so one of my trigger words is when people say, "Oh, is the truth in the truth, in the truth." Now I said to people say to me, "Oh, you left the truth." I said, "No, I'm still in the truth. You guys have left the truth a long time. If you choose to follow those guys in HQ, you've left the truth, because they've left the truth. They're completely off the rails now. I mean, things like overlapping generation and all that kind of thing. Just make it up as you go along and just say, right, you lot, we're embarrassed by our failings, so you carry on and just put up with our new explanation, whether it makes sense or not." They've left the truth. Those who leave are in the truth if they recognize the simple things of the scriptures. The gospel, simple gospel. I mean, yeah.
Well, all cults have buzzwords and buzz phrases, which are basically cult words and cult phrases that are designed to kind of like, those little clips that hold a bag closed or hold pages together. That's what those buzzwords and buzz phrases are for, to keep the indoctrination of the cult secure. They don't want anything unraveling. That's why they're so adamant about, don't look at apostate websites, don't talk to ex-members, oh, they're apostates spreading lies from Satan. And they equate the organization with Heavenly Father. If you leave the organization, you're leaving God. If you serve the organization, you're serving God. And of course, that is all by design, that complete, solid connection, that one is the same and the same as the other. And when you brought that out, when you told your future wife that the organization is not Jehovah, and the Jehovah is not the organization, like, that'll take a while to chew on, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not an easy journey for us all. I mean, everyone's on their own journey, and it's different pace, like everyone's walking on the marathon, and some people start off running and then they slow down, and vice versa. So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of exit. And I would say we have trauma going in, and we usually have trauma coming out. It's trauma that makes us come out in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for everyone. But I always have things that I kind of remember, and then I forget them straight away. I can't remember.
Well, we need to go to Rick. We are about half an hour into his show. Let me just ask Rick how, where he's coming from. Rick, how are we doing, my brother? I know we've gone into your show.
Yeah, what you do was interesting listening to Maverick, and we always preempt the other show if we got a good caller. So Maverick was that. So why don't we wrap it up, give you a few minutes, Anne Marie, and then we'll go to JW World News Sunday edition.
Oh, sounds so great, my brother. Maverick, are you still there?
I'm still there, yeah, I'm here.
I accidentally turned off my phone. Like Rick said, you're a great caller, and Susan said it too, that she was just enthralled, listening. You have everyone's attention. You might not realize it, but you do. I'm wondering if you might have something to leave the audience, like, how are you doing today? I'm just so happy that you found the right wife and that God brought you together. And, the same thing happened with Rick and Susan, and same thing happened with our dear brother Eric and his new wife, Audrey. The Lord knows what he's doing. When you don't fight his will and don't put governing bodies' will, whatever they say, in front of or ahead of God's will for you, it's amazing how much smoother things work out.
Yeah. It's true. Well, okay, so let me think. Something that I tell myself, or have told myself as a final kind of thought for people, especially those who are still struggling with feeling they're entangled in the organization, they don't know how to come out, or they don't know what to do. There's two key things that they need to be aware of, like, is how much, like, truth costs us something. It always does. The real truth, I mean, like, it costs us. Sometimes we have to sever ourselves from family, friends, or people who are just negative, or who don't see what we're trying to do. So unfortunately, most people know that there's a massive price, and we all know there's a massive price for leaving the organization. But then I think Gilbert said it a couple of times in the past, where he said about how much do we love the truth? Because for me, I knew that it was going to cost me, but I didn't. It had to be that way. It had to be, because my integrity to myself, I can't unknow what I know, so I couldn't undo that. But for me, it was like, I say to people, there's going to come to a point. I mean, it is cliche making a statement now. You've got to get to that point. If you're not there yet, then you're not there. The Lord will lead you to that point. If you love Him, He will lead you out of the cult, because you just got to be patient and keep saying to yourself, all I'm interested in is truth. Focus on Him, and things will work out. You'll have the courage. You'll have the courage. Even that way, if you don't feel like you've got the strength right now, you will have the courage to make the right decisions. And that's all I would say is your own sense of integrity will get you out of that place. Because I know that down inside, there's a lot of people who are there who don't want to be there. And we know that. We know they don't want to be there, but they don't have the courage because they're not focusing on their relationship with God first. They're more worried about not looking bad, maybe, or disrupting some sort of something in their life is preventing them from moving forward. For me, I'm kind of like one of those. I'm on Route 66 on my Harley. I'm gone. I'm gone. You know, that, you know, I'm not going to let people dictate to me. So for me, it was once I've made my mind up about something and I've proven it to myself. Oh, that's it. This is the final thing. Sorry, you have to prove to yourself. We have to prove to ourselves. We have to prove to ourselves, so we won't have fear to leave. If we know that scripturally we're not doing anything wrong, we have to prove that to ourselves. Some people leave for all sorts of reasons. Scriptural reasons. You have to prove. You have to do the work. And some people don't want to hear this, maybe, but we have to do the work. For me, it was I needed to get to the bottom of the 607 thing, because that's what they're saying their authority is based on. So once I did, it took me a year and a half, though. It took me a year and a half of methodical, just reading the Gentile Times Reconsidered book, Ray Francis' books, and then I was sure. If you're not sure, you know, don't do anything until you're sure. The worst thing is going away, going out, and then having doubts that, oh my goodness, come in and did I do the right thing? You know, trust the word. I would say trust the word, you know? And
Right. You make a lot of sense. Well, I want to thank you so much, Maverick. It was such a treat that you were able to come on when our dear brother Stephen in New Zealand was not able to come through. Well, I'm going to look forward to seeing if you can come on maybe next Six Screen Sunday in 2 weeks. But right now, I just want to say thank you. And I'm so glad that others will be able to listen to your testimony. I do want to thank you. I want to thank Rick and Grace and Steve, who did his best to be prepared to come in from New Zealand, but we couldn't have him. And of course, we thank you, Maverick from London. Thank you. We do need to wrap it up. I wish you a happy Six Screen Sunday. And what was that last word, dear?
No, I just said thank you too, Anne-Marie, and thank you, Rick, as well.
Thank you.
I'm trying to fill in the gap so that, you know, then airspace for for the radio is not good places, you know.
Did a fantastic job, and I think you have us all hanging on our seats wanting to hear more. But thank you so much. We do need to go back to Rick and JW World News Sunday edition. Rick?
Well, thank you, Anne Marie, and thank you, Maverick. Wow, that was amazing. We love Maverick. He does a good job. We love his accent. And it is so amazing that we can talk to him in real time all the way across the pond, as they say, over there in England. It's amazing. And, you know, even though we might pick on the world we live in, you know, sometimes you say, oh, this world is too much. Boy, the technology. Look at we are able to talk to our brothers and sisters all over the world because of technology. That's an amazing thing. Well, Anne-Marie, thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to go to JW World News. That'll be Sunday edition. And we got a lot to talk about, as we always do. So don't go anywhere. Stay on this channel. JW World News coming up next. Thank you all for coming in. We appreciate it.